Hunting is not easy. It never has been. It takes dedication, motivation, a lot of patience, and quality gear. If you manage a food plot, put up stands, or need just one more game camera, we can help at MidwayUSA.com. We opened our doors in 1977 and continue to put customers first by offering super fast, same-day shipping. For just about everything for the outdoors, go to MidwayUSA.com.
At Midway USA, we put customers first. The Nitro Express shipping system is icing on the cake. It was a big investment of time and money to take super fast, low-cost shipping to a whole new level. The Nitro Express helps ensure same-day shipping and low shipping cost. We hope you enjoy the Nitro Express. We built it just for you. For just about everything for the outdoors, go to MidwayUSA.com. I'm Larry Potterfield with Midway USA. Thanks for your business.
Just be sitting up there jacked with Pepsi.
I'm there for the pack out. You just got to pack me in.
Committed to the bow early on. Like, I love getting close and putting up.
You cover a range of stuff on here too, right? Like,
we call this the THP World Headquarters.
You know, my grandpa Roy Weatherby.
I came into like that golden little pocket where there was like 4 or 5 different bowls. Just
You're Canadian? We're doing a Canadian podcast.
My name's Douglas Bode.
I'm Robbie Denning.
Roy Campbell.
Man, perfect. Yeah, I have a podcast myself. I haven't done episodes for a little while, but we're just going to be starting them up here again soon. So I know what it's like.
Yeah, for sure. We'll get into that a little later. I'll plug that. So how's things, man? You must be, you're fully recovered yet?
I mean, I took probably 2 weeks, like relatively easy. I still was running just a little bit every day, basically just a couple kilometers, keeping the legs moving. But I'd say right now I probably feel 60-70% of what I felt before the run. So I can tell, like, I'm still in good shape, but doing that crazy run kind of takes something out of you for a little bit. So more than anything right now, I can feel it in my lungs, which is kind of crazy, but I actually got COVID at one point when I was running across Canada. So I think my lungs just never had a chance to actually recover. So I think
that must be a common thing with running across Canada. I read Dave Proctor's book and he got COVID as well running across Canada.
For me, I was meeting so many people, right? Like it was right after my Toronto day. So it was like, I probably met 1,000 people that day or had so many people out at the group run. I was taking photos and so we don't actually know if it was COVID or not. I just was really sick and it felt exactly like COVID the first time I had it. So I was either just really sick or had COVID, but yeah, I think it was just meeting so many people.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, good on you, buddy. That's, so let's back up a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about yourself, your background, kind of how you got into running, all that stuff, just to give some context to my listeners. Like I was saying, when we were messaging back and forth, we're, primarily a hunting podcast, but lately, we've just been covering, there's so many Canadians that are doing amazing things, such as yourself. I mean, like running across Canada, that's got to be recognized. So, let's just talk a little bit about yourself, kind of, where you grew up, how you got into running, that sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure. So, from Halifax, Nova Scotia. I haven't ran like my whole life, or it wasn't something I did in high school or in university or anything. I kind of played sports when I was a kid, and I was always kind of the guy that tried really hard, but wasn't really that good. So like I would make a hockey team or something because I just tried hard.
Yeah,
and there was much skill. So like I remember being in high school and stuff, and I would occasionally go run. Like I could always run a decent 10K or something like that. And I think I probably ran a marathon when I was like 20 years old. I think my buddy just dared me to. So I went out and it took me 4.5, 5 hours or something. So I always had like the ability to push, but never really got into like serious running until about, pretty much like 2 years ago. So I used to lift weights all the time. And after like stopping playing competitive hockey or different sports, I was kind of looking for something where it's hard like to play sports your whole life and then it's just like done and you don't have any. You could go play pickup hockey or something like that, but no one really tries hard. So like I always wanted to push myself.
Yeah.
So I think one day I don't know, I read David Goggins' book. I remember I was just having like a crappy day and it was around the same time I started reading his book and I just this was probably maybe a month into just kind of casually running. And I remember I went out and I ran a 50K. I basically just said, I'm going to see if I can do this. I used gas stations as my aid stations and kind of just ran around Halifax and ended up doing 50K. And I did it. And it was like, okay, that was really hard, but it didn't like completely crush me. And I'm like, I think I could have went more. So I remember probably like 3 days later, I did 60. And then probably 5 days after that, I did 70. And I just progressed and progressed. And I love the fact of like, okay, this is very difficult, but it's never like I'm actually at my limit, especially when you go slow enough. So I kind of just progressed and progressed and then had the crazy idea to run across Canada and pretty much like a year of training and just set out and did it. So a lot of my stuff was just kind of winging it. I just was like, all right, we're going to figure this out as we go, and bought a van, quit my job, took out a line of credit, did all the crazy things, convinced my dad to come with me. Luckily, he's always been like my biggest supporter. So it didn't take too much convincing, and yeah, just started running. It was pretty crazy journey, and here we are now.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. I love, it's funny you talked about hard work, and that's the common denominator in all successful people, or people who set big goals and have these amazing achievements. It's just hard work. It's always the same story too. I wasn't very gifted, I wasn't very talented, but I could just outwork everybody else. So I love hearing that stuff. So you said you started a 50K, 60K, 70K.
Yeah.
What was that like? You just one day you're like, how much were you running before 50K? Because like right now I'm training for a marathon, and I guess it all depends on pace, because I'm trying to qualify for the Boston qualifier, and my age, being 45, it's like I think it's 3 minutes and 3:20. I have to qualify, so it's pretty high pace, right? And so I'm training 10 miles doing that, but man, like right now I'm looking at the 26 mile, which is 42 kilometers, I think it is, like that. So when you say 50 kilometers, I'm just like blown away by it. I'm like, Jesus,
Yeah.
that's a long way to go.
So I think I started running and taking it a little bit more seriously, probably would have been like, I guess, end of July, should be like 2 years ago. It's pretty much 2 years ago, like a little over 2 years now. And I think I did my first 50. It was like in September, I'm pretty sure. So I was running. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing back then. So I would just go out and run and do whatever. And one of my hardest things was pacing. Like I used to just go so fast that like it
Yeah.
wasn't sustainable. So I was probably running, I would say I built up to like 60, 70K a week, like probably averaging like maybe 10K a day. And
Right.
then yeah, I just said, you know what, screw it. Like I think I can probably run 50K. Like I kind of knew I could. I was like, if it gets bad, just walk, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I just kind of went and did it. And kind of my philosophy with all this stuff is like, you almost have to just go do it like over and over and over again before you even worry about all the other stuff. So like I wasn't tracking my heart rate or anything. I kind of just had the idea of like, okay, I'm going to try to get good and then figure out all the other stuff. So just do the distance, do the distance, do the distance, not overthink it. And
Yeah.
that's kind of where I like to do the 50, do the 60, do the 70. And I mean, doing the 70 at that point in time was probably like the hardest thing I ever did in my life. And probably the last 20K was like a run, walk, shuffle. Like I didn't know what I was doing for school. I was probably just eating like gas station cookies and Powerade or Gatorade. But yeah, I love the aspect of no matter what, I just figure out a way to get it done. So
Yeah, for sure. That's one thing. I mean, I think a lot of people I know, even with like archery or fitness or anything, people get into there's too much stuff accessible on like Instagram or YouTube, and like people get into like the weeds of stuff that like people have been doing. Somebody that's done it for, they've already run thousands of miles and they're just starting to run, and then these people are counting, what their intake is, or like what pace they're running, or how many miles they're running in a week, rather than just running. You know what I mean? Like just get out and run. Like just how about the first step is you just get out the door and you just do it. Forget everything else. Just start moving.
put the shoes on. I tell people too, like, I don't know, like my big thing when I was training to run my first marathon, I thought, okay, well, I'm going to run a marathon in training before I do this. And it wasn't like, okay, I'm going to go run a 3:30 marathon. It was like, I'll put the shoes on, I'll go move. If I got to go slow, I'll go slow, but just get the body used to it. So I would just go like that. And yeah, I think sometimes people get like, it almost, they think about it so much that they don't do anything. Like they get so confused. I need this gel and I need this, and I got to stretch this way and that way. And then like time goes by and instead you could have literally just been out running at a slow pace and your body would have adapted and got better just doing that.
Well, exactly. And it takes time, right? And like, I know we all want to do like, I mean, I want to go and just run a, 7:10 pace instantly, but like you got to build up to it. It takes time, right? It takes consistency, hard work, discipline, with just like not overtraining. One thing I find, you're a little younger than me, so you probably, you're a little more resilient to overtraining, but or recovery anyway. I noticed like when you're in your 20s, it's your
Yeah.
body definitely recovers a lot faster than it does when you're 45. But what was injuries like? You have any injuries along the way?
If anything, I had overuse injuries, I guess.
I
I
bet.
wasn't really sure, like, well, kind of when I set out to do this, I was like, all right, if I get injured, I'm going to keep going. Like, this
Hmm.
is my goal, especially when I dedicate a run to like Terry Fox and my dad with heart
Yeah.
disease, we're raising money for. I was like, I'm going to get this done no matter what. So near the end, I mean, I was incredibly sore and it was hard, right? Like I wasn't getting very much sleep, and of course my feet were pretty banged up and stuff, but no, like luckily when I finished, I wasn't really sure what to expect, but I'm really happy with how I feel right now. And really, if anything, it just I was really sore, but there wasn't
Yeah.
any actual injuries.
Yeah.
So I was super happy with it. And really to do like the run, it's like a life-changing experience. Like my whole goal in doing this stuff, like I want to get a big following on social media so that I can motivate and inspire people. And I
Hmm.
know the best way to do that is kind of just push my limits, do what I'm
Hmm.
passionate about, which is running and ultra running and really just pushing crazy stuff,
Yeah.
crazy physical goals and stuff. So it's cool to see like a following build. And now I'm at the point where I can actually try to do this. And like when I can put all my effort into running and into doing these big challenges, man, you can make a huge difference, right? Like I know when I was training to run across Canada, there was a point in time where I was like working 40 hours a week and I was trying to do the social media and I was trying to run and getting like 5 hours of sleep a night. And you can
Yeah.
do it for a bit, but I'm really happy to be at a point now where I can actually like take care of my body properly and do these
Uh-huh.
big runs.
Yeah, for sure. You must have been pretty stoked going across that ferry to Vancouver Island, eh?
Yeah, crazy story about that. We kind of misjudged how far it was. So we booked, I think it was like maybe the 11 o'clock ferry or whatever time it was. So we
Yeah.
started at, I think like 3 in the morning. And as we were running, I'm looking on my phone. I'm like, that's a lot farther than I thought it was. And we made the ferry by like, I think 7 minutes. So I'm
Oh,
running, and my dad and like my camera guy are up in the ferry. So they take the van because you got to be there an hour. I think it's like an hour,
yeah.
45 minutes early. So they drive onto the ferry and I'm just running, trying to catch the ferry. And basically, they knew what I was doing, like the people at the ferry. So I just ran through where the cars would go. And I basically ran up and onto the boat and into the car.
Oh,
And it was crazy how like we just hit it. And it was kind of a theme of the trip. It would be like it was almost like things seemed like they were staged or something sometimes. Like I would just get there on time. Like I know, for example, in Toronto, like my Toronto day, we took a wrong turn and I was like panicked and I basically had to run like 20 kilometers straight, no breaks, no food, nothing. And like we made it to my meetup with like a minute to spare. And it's like the same
oh,
thing with Barry. It was like everything was happening and it would be like, oh man, we're not going to make it. And then out of nowhere, like somehow I'd just get there with a minute to spare.
oh. When you said that, I just envision you running, running, running hard as you can, and then like getting to the end of the dock and like the ferry just pulling away like 20 feet. Like, come on.
Oh man, I think my heart rate was like 185 or something. And like I'm not running at that hard of a pace at this point in time. I mean, you're 99 or 98 days in, but like I just remember running absolutely as hard as I could. And I'm like looking at the clock and I'm looking and I'm like trying to run down. I could see the ferry. And I'm like, oh, please don't take off. The whole
Yeah.
point, like I wanted to get to Victoria so that I could finish around like 4 or 5 o'clock. That way there's a lot of
Mhm.
people. And I was like, man, if I miss this ferry, I'm gonna have to take the next one, and then I'm gonna have to make a post and let everyone know that I'm late.
Yeah, would have been good.
It
Yeah.
was
Well,
crazy.
you made it anyway. That's good. So, you said 99 days running?
So it was 98. So
98 days?
time I knew it was 98. I marketed it as 99 because I figured that just sounded better. Like if you
Yeah.
say like I'm doing under 100 days, 99. If I
Yeah,
was to
yeah.
say 98, it just kind of sounded weird. So the whole time I knew it was 98, but we marketed it as 99, and it ended up being 98 days.
Oh, right on. So, how many pairs of shoes did you go through running for 98 days?
11, we went through 11 pairs of shoes.
My goodness. Like, I love new running shoes. Like, I just, I go through a lot. My wife's like, do you really need that many? But like, I just love them. Like they get worn out, my feet get sore, and I'm just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna get a new pair, right? Like,
Kind of
so I could imagine putting that many miles, what it must have been like putting on that new pair of sneakers. Did you guys like rotate them, or were you just using them right out and then starting fresh, or were you rotating?
Basically I would just try to wear a pair until it was like dead, unless
Yeah,
it got, so normally I'd have like two pairs on the go. If one pair got wet, I'd wear like a new one for a day and then probably just put the other ones back on. Cause then
oh yeah,
I was writing like kilometer markers at the bottom of the shoe. So I knew
oh,
like second shoe, third shoe. So we kept all the shoes actually.
that's cool.
All
Yeah,
the shoes are still in the van that's in Victoria that I still need to go back to Victoria and get.
oh yeah,
We left it there and flew home and we were done. I was like, there's no chance I'm driving back the exact route that I
that
that
would
I
have been torture.
I was like, no, there's no chance. So I'm sure I got to go back here probably like the end of this month or something to pick up the van and
Yeah,
all everything
what
we
kind of
left.
what kind of shoes did you go with?
So I was wearing On Cloud Monsters, and then midway I switched to Saucony, and I was wearing the Triumphs.
Oh yeah,
Honestly, I don't really know that much about shoes. I kind of just wear whatever's like given to me or sent to me for free and stuff like
yeah,
that. So currently, I'm planning on trying out a bunch of shoes and hopefully trying to like hook up with a shoe brand that I like or
yeah,
something,
for sure.
some brand deal or something, just to be able to work with the company. But yeah, for me, like I just was kind of wearing whatever. I like the on clouds and I still do. I just found they were kind of just from the way I was running, they were wearing out a little bit. So I
Yeah,
switched to shoes and then I found they just worked a little bit better, had a little bit more stable just for what I was doing.
hmm,
And they
yeah, they're
just
good
felt better.
runners.
Yeah, no, those were the two brands we used.
So logistically, you talked about route. Who planned the route and how did you plan it?
This is
Because
pretty
like
fun.
I'm thinking like you're gonna want to choose the easiest route possible. Like you don't want to be running through some of the Rocky Mountains or any of the, the high. I guess through northern coming out of Ontario, you must get a bit of hills, eh?
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. So for the route, technically, if I was to run from west to east, I think it'd be easier just based on the wind, like the way the weather patterns are. I had a headwind most of the time the way I was going. If you went the other
Oh,
way, push you. But that was all. I had no idea, like when I was doing the route or anything. Basically, I just went east to west because it's the way Terry Fox was doing it, and I live out east, so it was just easier.
yeah.
Me, I just went on like Google Maps and typed in like St. John's, Newfoundland, Victoria, BC, made a route and kind of stuck with that. There was a few times like at the time when I made the route, I didn't know like I wasn't allowed to run the 400 series
Hmm.
highways in Ontario. In Quebec, I got kicked off the highways there and had to do side roads. Luckily, the side roads and stuff is basically the same distance. It just would be slower if you were in a car.
Hmm.
So actually, it was better because the speed limit was less and there wasn't 18 wheelers flying by me all the
Oh,
time. Yeah. So for the route, yeah, I just kind of winged it and did it. And obviously, there's a lot of hills in Newfoundland. There's a ton of hills in Northern Ontario. And then I found the end might have been the hardest part just because it was so much downhill.
yeah.
And when you're on day 95, like I remember I was doing 25K segments. So I go 25, 25, 25 with little breaks in between.
Uh-huh.
There was one 25K segment that was 1,000 meters down. So it was literally a kilometer down. So the whole time I was running, I don't know, it was like 10% grade or something. And I'm just like hobbling down these hills. Like
Oh, the knees, yeah.
that was painful. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny.
Rather
It's
go up a hill.
yeah, my wife, right, not a runner, and I tell her, I'm like, I'll run uphill all day.
Wait.
Downhill, no way. Like I just kills me. Like,
Oh,
knees, back, everything, and just like, man, it's
especially when I was that far in,
yeah.
it's like there's two strategies. I can just like hobble and slow myself down the whole time, or I can just fly down the hill. We tried both. Flying down the hill, not the way to go. You're better off to hobble really slow. And it was funny, like there was some sections where it would be like 60 meters down in a kilometer. And I would do that slower than I would go up an elevation. So I could
Yeah,
get up the hill quicker than I was going down the hill. It made no sense. It was it looked
yeah,
like I was in
that,
total
yeah, for
get up
sure,
there.
man. What was the hardest province to run across? I'm
Uh
assuming like Saskatchewan and Alberta must have just been like, and even Manitoba must have just been like a breeze, just flat.
yeah.
Few bugs, I guess. You're probably gonna pick up some extra protein along the way. Few mouthfuls
Bugs,
of bugs.
bugs were bad. Yeah, the bugs were bad like Northern Ontario and then a little bit into like Manitoba. And
Yeah.
then they weren't too bad. Like luckily, well, I guess not luckily, the prairies is very windy, so it was a lot of headwind, so there wasn't really bugs. But there was some like days where it was 60, 70 kilometer headwind like all day. So it
Yeah.
feels like running on like a treadmill. But I
Yeah.
guess I would say I don't try to look at it as like the hardest part physically, because I just kind of move like a robot. Like I get up, I
Mhm.
don't really what did I keep going. I would say like just logistics wise would have to be Northern Ontario, because there would be like 200 kilometers between gas stations, and it led to me like eating a lot of just like canned ravioli and chili and like tuna sandwiches, just because it was hard to get food and keep it good. And
Uh-huh.
me, my dad, and my camera guy, none of us really know how to cook. So it would be like we're heating stuff up or just using a little camping stove. And I ate like a lot of ravioli. So I don't like ravioli anymore. I ate way too much of it.
You're good on ravioli.
Oh, yeah. I don't ever want to see it again. Oh, it's just much.
So sleeping, what did you guys do for sleeping? Slept in the van just along the way?
So at the beginning, when it was just me and my dad, we were sleeping in the van. So that was like Newfoundland.
Hmm.
And then my camera guy came along. He joined us basically like around Toronto, like 30
Yeah.
some days in. And then there was three of us, so we just didn't fit in the van. So we'd get
Yeah.
hotels and stuff. Luckily,
Nice.
I didn't know how this was going to do fundraising wise. I really had no idea. Like when I set out to do this, I kind of just had the joke of like, what's the best way to learn how to run across a country? You run across a country. So I plan
Yeah.
on doing this other times. I want to do the States. I'll do Canada again, countries in Europe and stuff. So I kind of just set out to do it. And also, like, it was pretty well unsponsored, just because like when I go to people, they'd be like, well, how do we know you're actually going to do this or finish? And I could say, hey, like I've ran 200K straight before. I've done 100-mile races, but 99 days
Yeah.
is just different. So
Yeah,
really,
for
it was
sure.
kind of just to prove to sponsors and stuff next time I go to do this, okay, he's done it. So clearly, like if we get involved with him, he'll be able to
Mhm.
finish.
Yeah. You have some credibility now for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And then like with the hotels and stuff, luckily we started raising a ton of money. And the way I did it was 80% went to charity, Heart and Stroke Foundation, 20% went to me and my team to help fund it. So that's how like I was able to afford to have my camera guy come with me. And I was
Mhm.
paying my dad a little bit, and I was flying different friends out to help. So we could actually afford to get some hotel rooms.
Mhm.
And the thing is too, like when you go do a big thing like this, you have to kind of like the more money I spent on getting a camera guy and doing this and camera equipment, it leads to more people donating anyway, because I'm
Mhm.
documenting the story. So we were doing like 3 posts a day. We were doing YouTube videos. My story was blasted all throughout the day. So really, like the more you spend and the more of an investment you do and the bigger your team is, the more you raise anyway.
Yeah.
So we figured that out, and my plan was just social media content, content, content,
Yeah.
content. And clearly it worked. I mean, we raised like almost $300,000. I think it was like $286,000, which is it's pretty crazy.
Killer.
Just
Yeah.
yeah, like it's even like the social media following. Like I think when I started, I had like maybe 12, 15,000 followers or something. And then by the
Hmm.
end, it was 100. So it was
Hmm.
crazy. Like it's crazy. All the engagement of people sending messages and letters and sending me DMs and people coming to run with me. And like I met like thousands of people. It was crazy the amount of support, people coming out and people driving 10 hours to come drive with me or run with me in Northern Ontario. Like it was crazy, man. It blew my mind.
Yeah, for sure. It starts building momentum, and that's when you start really seeing results too. And yeah, I remember your one of your first posts, and you didn't have a lot, like 3,000 or something when we first started uh, catching up on Instagram there, and you made this thing about something about thinking about running across Canada, and I was like, huh? Who's this guy? So when started following you, yeah, I started following your jersey, but your
Yeah.
journey, but yeah, man, super cool. So Terry Fox, let's just talk about like what your thoughts of what he had to go endure to go across a country in the shape he was in. Like I
Yeah.
think of Terry Fox, and I'm just so impressed just by like his pure determination.
Yeah, I'll tell you, like, I mean, I ran almost what he was running,
Mhm.
like the route. I don't know how the hell you get up that with one leg, especially back then. The technology wasn't there. The crazy thing too, like I always try to tell people, like he was just a kid. He was
Mhm.
21, 22 years old. Like I don't think people realize that. Everyone that came out to run with me, I'd always remind them, like, to do what he did if he was 40 would be the most impressive thing ever. Think about him doing that out of high school. Like
I
it's
know.
just crazy what he was able to do. Also, while running like with cancer, like
Yeah.
he didn't know at the time, but I can only imagine trying to get up those hills with one leg and lung can
Well,
like it's just
yeah,
it's
and
crazy.
just the
But
way you feel, like going through it and then losing your leg and keep going
yeah,
and battling that disease, and like I know like my father-in-law had cancer, and like it just cripples you. And like the pure, that's what I mean, like the pure will in that guy's mind to just keep going and not quit. Basically just run until it kills you. Like it's absolutely amazing.
Oh, it's crazy. And like, well, I always, anytime I would do like I do a group run, I do a speech or something, I would always remind people like Terry's a pretty good example of it doesn't really matter how long you live. Like you never know how long you're gonna get,
Hmm.
but if like you can make a huge impact. He only lived to be 23 years old, but like think of the impact, the money raised. Like
Hmm.
I know personally, like I probably wouldn't have ran across Canada if my dad, when I was a kid, hadn't shown me Terry Fox and I hadn't heard about the story. So just the millions of people he's inspired and his legacy will never die. And it's just a crazy example of like, just get out there and you can make a huge impact, man. It doesn't matter how much time you have.
Yeah, man. That's running. The hardest thing about running is starting running. But once you get through that first initial like threshold of running of like pain and like, fuck, this sucks. And you know what I mean? Like you get over the soreness and like the calves not being so tight and your hips not being so sore. It's like there's no better feeling than going out and going for a run. Like just the mental space you get into when you're on these runs, especially when you get into the longer runs. What was it like going, halfway through it mentally, just being like, were you finding that you were in like your attitude was kind of like a roller coaster, or was it always just on an upward trajectory?
Um, I don't know. The crazy thing with me, like, I can honestly say there wasn't like a single moment where like I didn't think I'd finish or where like the pain had me in a bad mood. Like from the time I set out to do this, I kind of set my expectation of like, okay, this could be really bad pain every single day, and every single day could kind of really suck. And it is what it is. You just move forward. I knew what I
Mhm.
signed up for. And yeah, for whatever reason, like there wasn't a bad day. And even when I was in pain, we were having fun. I was joking around. I was dancing on the side of the highway. And it's yeah, for I think it's just a gift I have of being able to do
Yeah.
this positive mindset. And yeah, like honestly, I can say in a weird way, like it was the time of my life. Like I was having a ton of fun. And it's cool to have like one goal. A lot of times in life, there's like you got 15, 20 things you're thinking about all this
Hmm.
time, and you're doing your job, and you're doing this and that, and relationships and friends, and so much stuff going on. Where with this, it was like, okay, I got to run 75K. That's it. That's all I'm doing. There's no
Yeah.
time for anything else really. We do that, we make the videos, and that's it. So that was a cool feeling just to have one goal. And it
Yeah.
really shows like when you can set out and be like, this is all I'm doing, this is what I'm doing, man, you can get some crazy stuff done. Like
Oh yeah.
75K a day. I just kept moving and moving and moving. And I don't know, some days were kind of hard and some days weren't as
Hmm.
bad. You just was what it was. I woke up like a robot. I drank my energy drink and I just kept going.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the beauty about setting goals. And like, I'm a big believer in setting goals. And even if they're small goals and just every day working towards a goal, you know what I mean? Rather than sitting still. I mean, as you get older, a little older in life, all of a sudden you start seeing the clock going the other way and you're like, man, I'm going to have probably less days than I've had already. Right. So you got to be clear on what your goals are. And like you said, just not, you don't need 30 goals. Just do one goal at a time, right? Work towards that goal, whether it doesn't matter what it is. If it's stop drinking, make more money, be a better dad, be a better husband, build a garage, anything simple, right? Just set a goal and just keep working to it till it's done. And then all of a sudden, you're going to realize one day that all these things that you set out to do, you've accomplished. And, your goals just get bigger as you go along, right? It's just same with running, start the goal of running 1 kilometer and then go from there. And then it's 2 kilometers, then it's 50 kilometers, 60 kilometers, 70 kilometers. Then, you maybe not running across Canada, but you never know, right?
Yeah. Well, I think it all kind of comes down to purpose. And a person with a purpose can kind of do anything. And I've realized through doing this, my purpose is just motivate and inspire people. And like I can be in the worst pain ever, but I know that I'm inspiring people. Someone's out running
Mhm.
because of me, or I'm helping someone through a hard day. And it's like, as soon as I realize that, I can get through any pain. I'm like, the
Yeah.
pain's going to be temporary. And especially like the support I was getting from people. Like I had kids sending me messages. It was crazy. It was like I impacted people all the way from like 5 years old to like 90. There was grandmas coming out and there was kids coming out and like the whole country seemed to come behind it. So just to really
Absolutely.
see it, too. Like I do a group run like in Toronto, 1,000 people came out, and like these people are telling me crazy stories of like how maybe their dad died of a heart attack, and when I'm doing this, it reminds me of him, or he would be
Mhm.
happy that that I was doing this, and crazy stories of people that I've lost 200 pounds, or you helped me on my weight loss journey. Like, it's just crazy stuff I was hearing. And that's
Yeah.
just purpose, right? And then like it's very easy for me to even continue. Like, I knew when I was doing this, like, this isn't the only time I'm going to do this. I'm going to continue to do this stuff. I'll always push forward. And it's just, man, I know I'm gonna be able to help more and more people. The more following I get, the more people I can help. And it's just, it's crazy the feeling I get of just, I'm grateful to be able to do this.
Yeah, for sure. When you inspire people and people tell you those stories, and I know, being in the hunting community, and I train quite a bit, and I started posting my stuff on Instagram. And then I remember meeting this guy at this hunting show, and he came up to me and he's like, man, I lost 60 pounds since I started watching your Instagram videos every day. And like, I never even thought about it, right? I never thought about how what I'm doing could be inspiring other people, other than, outside my direct family, like, your kids, right? Your kids see you being physically active, they're going to be physically active. If they see you laying around on a couch watching football Sunday, or spending your weekends just sitting around drinking, not doing anything, that's a habit that they're going to pick up, I truly think. And yeah, when you can inspire people, man, it's just such a good feel, such a gratifying feeling. And I think that is, the true reward.
Oh yeah, just so many stories. I can even think of one story. I think I was like 70 kilometers in on my day. And this was probably a hard day. I was having a hard time this day. And I remember looking off in the distance, and there was this big guy. I would say probably had to be 300 pounds or something. And he's just getting into running. And he came out and he told me how happy he was to come run with me. And he had it marked on his calendar for a few weeks. And basically, like, his goal, he came out and he's like, okay, I'll just run a couple kilometers with you. I parked my car here. And we got to talking, and I said, okay, man, you're going to set your 5K PR. So this is the end of my day. And I'm pretty sure like we ended up running his last 5K of my day. And it was like a little under, I think, like 50 minutes or something. So we're just moving along and moving along. And he's like, are you sure? Like, are you sure? Like, I don't want to slow you up. And I'm like, dude, this run is way for you, way more than for me.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll always think of that moment. And it was cool. Like, I remember I was wearing an Edmonton Oilers jersey. He was wearing a Calgary Flames shirt and running along the highway, this guy that I just met. And like, he crushed it. And I could see him at the end. He's like sprinting to hit his goal. And I think he set his PR by like a minute or something. And man, that's crazy to see him do that. Like, that gave me so much energy to see someone getting out there and pushing and setting a new PR. Like, it was just
Yeah.
a crazy experience.
That's
And
that's so awesome.
man, just
And you could build momentum off that, right? And like, that guy goes through it, and now he has, and that's how it just starts. Like what we were saying earlier, just getting up and getting moving, right? And like, yeah, that's so good. And 300 pounds and doing that, that's amazing. Like, I just love seeing guys. That inspires me to keep going and go a little harder when I see other guys just keep pushing their limits.
well, no, I still look on his Instagram. I follow. He's still running. He's still moving. He's still getting
Yeah.
after it. I'm sure I'll run with him again. So yeah, it's just so cool. And it's cool, like the friendships I built too.
Mhm.
Like, there's
I
so
bet.
many people. I can kind of go anywhere in the country now, and like, I bet I'd have a coach to sleep on or someone to go get a meal
Yeah.
with, or something. Like, just thousands of people. I was apologizing to people near the end, like I couldn't remember anyone's name. I remember
Oh,
faces, like names. I was like, I don't know. And then even near the end, it was bad. Like, some people would be like, I saw you in New Brunswick and now I'm out here. And I'd be like, oh man, I don't even, I don't
yeah.
remember. It
Well,
just
I
was
mean,
minds everywhere. You know what I mean?
yeah, and it's tough. I mean, you're meeting a lot of people, and it's all happening fast. Like I imagine while you're doing it, you're like, oh my God, 99 days. Like, that's gonna, at day one, day 99 seems like fucking eternity away. And so you're meeting lots of people, and there's a lot going on. And you got to also be really focused on like what you're doing as well, I imagine too. Like, you got to, I mean, at the end of the day, you got to still you got to put the miles in, right? Because if you're not putting the
Yeah.
miles in, it's not getting done. So
Yeah.
you got to still be really focused on that. Was there any time throughout the race when you were like, did it ever hit you once where you're like, man, I'm really doing this? Or was it always just the mindset that I'm gonna start it and I'm not, like, no matter what happens, it's gonna happen? Like, you're just so confident.
I think the crazy thing is, like, I had goals when I was going into this, and my goal was to raise $100,000 and I wanted to hit 100,000 Instagram followers. And the crazy thing is, like, when I hit those, I had already manifested it so many times in my head. Like, I woke up every morning with that goal. I went to bed with that goal. Every run I did, I thought about that goal and reaching the finish line. That, like, you almost get to a point where you hit it and you're like, of course I did, because it was
Mhm.
so much work and you thought about it so much. And even like, I'm fully aware in doing this, like, in the future, I already have 1 million followers and I've already raised $1 million and all these things, like they've already happened. It might just be 5 years in the future, 10 years in the future, but with the mindset, like I'm always pushing forward to the next. So it was weird to hit these things. And like, luckily for me, I'm always thinking about the next thing, but it would be weird to hit it and you're like, you don't really feel any different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially when you're running so much. It was even like when I got out to like I'd never been to BC or Alberta and there's these crazy mountains around me. And I couldn't really take them in properly because I was so sleep deprived and so into this goal. And I knew it was going to be 12 to 14 hours of running a day. So it's like I couldn't even properly like process anything. I'm just like move forward, move forward, move forward, move forward. And even when I finished, it's like it took me a few days to even kind of realize I finished. Like you finish and there was a ton of people with me, and then I finished, I hugged my dad, and then took photos with people and was talking to so many people. And then we took the water we had from the Atlantic, dumped it in the Pacific. By the time it was all done, I kind of just like went in the van and just like laid there. And then
Yeah.
we were staying and I kind of just hung out. And then really until, yeah, a few days after, it was like I could actually reflect on what happened. But in the
Yeah.
moment, just so in it that it's like,
Yeah.
it's all you can think of.
Yeah, no doubt. Um, what do you think what do you think would be harder, running across the US or running across Canada?
Well, Canada's longer.
Yeah.
So I'd say Canada. I guess it would depend on like the distance you're running, right? Like if you were doing 75 a day in Canada compared to the US, I'm gonna say it would be Canada would be harder just because it's longer.
Yeah, I've read a few books and stuff and listened to a few audiobooks about guys running across, and what they were saying is it all depends on the route they're taking, because I imagine you take that southern route, it's going to get pretty damn hot.
Yeah.
Not that it doesn't get hot. Like what were some of the temperatures like when you were running? It must have got pretty
Um,
damn hot some of those days.
I was pretty lucky. Really, like at the beginning, it was cold. Newfoundland was cold. It was snowing. It was really windy. And then it kind of just like it didn't get hot till the last week. So like the
Mhm.
last week was like probably 30 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure what that is Fahrenheit. But yeah, like it kind of just stayed pretty good weather. I mean, there were some rainy days, but I'd rather take that than super hot. So until
Yeah.
the last week, I wasn't even really dealing with too much heat. It was more wind that was kind of a factor. But
Yeah.
I'm excited to run across the states one day and figure out which one's harder, you know? So
Yeah, no doubt.
it's a
Yeah.
good goal to be
And
able
then
to
you
do
could
that.
chirp. Yeah, we could chirp those Americans down there and be like, ah,
Yeah.
that's easy, man.
I'm excited too because currently I think like 85% of my Instagram followers are in Canada. So it's going
Mhm.
to be cool when I go to the States, like to be able to meet all these new people and go do a run across there. That's so many more people I can interact with. And I even know personally, like in a few weeks, me and my camera guy, we're going to be going down to the States and we're going to be trying to hit up some big cities and go to run clubs and meet people and do
Mhm.
crazy running challenges. So it's definitely exciting for me to get down to the States and kind of meet just tons of new people.
Yeah, for sure. And the running community is so big. You don't realize how big it is until you start getting like really into it. When I started setting this goal for this marathon, it's amazing how many people are into running. Not necessarily like setting goals of doing marathon, but just 5K goals they have. You know what I mean? And running's running. Doesn't matter how long you're doing it, how far you're doing it, how fast you're doing it, right? As
Well,
long as you're doing it.
me, it kind of seemed like it was almost like a byproduct of COVID. Because I know for me and tons of my friends, like you kind of just like had nothing to do,
Hmm.
end up doing different things. And for me, it was kind of I started running near the end of COVID, but I know so many people that just started going outdoors or doing runs or doing things just because they were like really bored. They were
Yeah.
locked on. And yeah, it's awesome to see running. Like I know for me, I didn't really have any friends that ran that were my age, and now it seems like everybody does. So it's pretty
Hmm.
sweet. Or it kind of seemed like it was like 30 and over. But now
Hmm.
even like the run club I go to in Halifax, like we're all basically in our 20s. So it's super cool to see younger people actually getting
Yeah.
into it and kind of realizing like the benefits of it. So
Hmm.
it's really awesome just to I have tons of friends that do it now, and even friends that are getting into ultras, like people a year ago that wouldn't even want to run 5K and now they're running like 50 or like
That's
even
awesome.
100 and crazy stuff. So it's really cool to see.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so what if you're gonna do it again, what would you do differently?
If I do it again, I probably would try to get a bigger team.
Hmm.
I know for this, it was just kind of thrown together. For the beginning part, it was just me and my dad. So if I did it again, probably try to get a bigger team. I would love to have like an actual like RV or something that I can sleep in. Because for this,
Hmm.
it was like we'd finish, we'd drive an hour to a hotel, we'd drive back, we'd cook our own meals. If I could have it like sponsored and bigger, like I'd like to probably do some sort of a documentary, obviously keep crushing the content, and then maybe have, I don't know, like a massage therapist with me, potentially like a chef or
Yeah.
something, right, just to make it easier and just make it like a bigger thing. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, so I would probably just have more people part of the team. And really it kind of is what it is. When I did it this time, I had a small following and no sponsors really,
Hmm.
only a couple of small ones. So now if I can do it again and just have some actual money my way to be able to be sponsored and build a team and have people with me, that'll be fun. So I think that's probably what I do.
Yeah. So when you're not training for running across the US, running across Canada, or your next big goal, what does your typical week of running look like?
So I run over 100 kilometers every week.
Wow.
That's a goal of mine, and that's the only time I haven't hit it was a few weeks post running across Canada. Like I think last week I only ran 98 or something, but there was like over a year where I was doing 100 a week, and really like just my goals currently are to just start competing in some like major ultra marathons and keep
Hmm.
pushing it to really see how far I can run. So I
Hmm.
know like any of the big ones in the States and stuff, I'd love to go do a race tour and do all of them. So for me,
Yeah.
it's basically a ton of running. So I'm sure soon I'll probably be up around that 200, over 200 kilometers a week.
Wow. So how
But
do you manage that? Like 100
um,
kilometers a week. Are you taking any days off? Or are you running every day?
run every day. For me, I think I have very good genetics to run. It's weird. Like I've been doing
No.
this, I've
Hmm.
never really got hurt doing it. I can run a lot, and obviously I'm kind of sore most of the time, but it's never like an issue of like crazy injuries or anything. So I kind of just keep pushing and pushing, and really it goes to like I think a lot of people, everyone has the answers inside of them, and everyone kind of knows their body, or
Hmm.
you can figure out your body. So for me, yeah, I don't know. I was running 200 plus kilometers a week, and I was actually feeling pretty good. Currently, I'm trying to implement more strength.
Hmm.
I used to lift weights all the time when I was training around across Canada. I knew that I didn't have that much time, so I just ran and ran and ran.
Hmm.
And I realized like a month in, I had like no muscle mass left in my legs, and I was just like running from my hips. So I think something I'm going to do now is try to implement more strength exercises just to build some strength. And obviously, I like hitting the gym also, but it's cool now. I'm at a position where I'm doing this like full time. Like I didn't go
Hmm.
back to a job. This is what I'm going to chase. And I mean, the money probably isn't currently there quite yet, but really I have to just invest in myself and keep doing this and doing this,
Yeah.
trying following and kind of get through it with money through YouTube and brand deals through Instagram and stuff. So that's my goal. And I'm kind of just going to work until I hit that. But yeah, I'm kind of training like a professional athlete now. Like
Yeah.
every single day I'm running, I'm trying to hit the gym. I'm trying to take care of my body more. I'm getting into ice baths and I've got a
Oh,
better
okay.
stretching routine. So
Yeah.
really just figuring it out as we go and just running a ton
Yeah.
and
I
just
was
trying
gonna
to get,
ask you that. I was gonna ask you about that, about recovery and stuff in ice baths. You find the ice baths they help?
I'm only recently getting into them, but yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. Like this is kind of crazy. Like when I started this training, I just trained and trained and trained and trained. I didn't
Hmm.
really look after myself at all. Now, one of the reasons was I don't have insurance and it's expensive to go do these things. Or I guess the ice bath, you can buy one and just do it out on your out on your deck or something, which is probably what I'm going to do. But even things like I never had a massage until I was 70 days into running across Canada, or I've never seen
Hmm.
chiro, physio. So it's cool now. I know recently I was in Toronto and it's nice to be able to go. Like I was doing the ice bath and I had an IV for the first time ever, and I went and seen a chiro and I was massagist and stuff like that. So it's all seeming to help. And yeah, I kind of just decided to build it, get to a point where I can actually do this. And it's cool now through following and stuff. A lot of places I can just go in and they'll let me in just to create some content or something. So I
Yeah.
can go breaking the bank.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I want to try to hook up with like a massage therapist and different things just so they can kind
Hmm.
of keep my body right.
Yeah. I just recently started doing massage therapy once a week. Gonna do 4 weeks. But yeah, the first two sessions, they were just, he was just like, dude, your fucking upper body's a mess. Like your shoulders, your elbows. And I said, well, you know, a lifetime of grinding and then never coming in to see you guys and like never really considering recovery or rest or, freaking, I couldn't touch my toes for the longest time. You know what I mean? Like just,
Well, I'm sure you're the same as me where um for whatever reason, pain doesn't really seem to bother me. So it's
yeah,
hard to tell how I feel. It's like
yeah.
someone asked me how I feel. I'm like, I don't know. I think I feel pretty good. So like I'll just keep moving and moving and moving. And it's you kind of need that mindset to be able to run across countries and do these crazy things. But at some point, I'm realizing like I have to actually take care of myself because I don't want to be like 40 and like in a wheelchair because I ran
Yeah.
across countries with no stretching and
Yeah,
eating ravioli, right? So
for sure. Yeah.
it's all a learning experience for me.
Yeah. And that's why I think the weight training, like I love running, don't get me wrong, but I also love lifting weights, right? I love being resilient and, that extra muscle definitely helps prevent injuries, as long as you're doing it right, doing it properly or you're not overdoing. And I've suffered that in the past where, definitely overdoing the weight training while you're trying to run. Definitely,
Yeah.
you can't be doing legs 3 times a week and then running 6, 7 times a week. It doesn't work that way. Your muscles do need time to recover and to grow. So definitely a learning curve. But the ice baths, I've done them consistently. Right now, the summer times are tough, I find, with the ice baths because just trying to keep that water cold, right? It's like a warm dog bowl by the end
Yeah.
of the afternoon when it's 40
Gotta
degrees
get
out all summer.
big bags of ice from the gas station and throw them in or something.
Yeah,
But
and I tried that too. Yeah, I tried
I
that
like
when
the
I,
ice
I
bath.
yeah.
Keep going.
I
Keep going.
I tried doing the ice, like picking it up. I tried, but man, like it gets expensive. And then I tried freezing it, like just making my own ice. But man, it's hard to keep that water cold. So summertime, I just figured it wasn't for it. But I did start to see some results, after a little bit. But it's definitely more than that, I think, too. It's like you said, it's stretching, it's just, massage therapy seems to help, and injections too. I go twice a year to get, full vitamin injections, which seem to really help, especially at the end of these big things, whether it's the hunting season or if it's after I'm doing some really hard training for like a marathon, I'll go get that boosted up. So definitely helps me there.
How long have you been in the hunting stuff? Is it kind of something you've done your whole life? I've personally never really done any hunting. I have to.
Yeah, hunting it's been part of my life pretty much my whole life. I grew up in northern BC, so I mean that's pretty much all we did. I lived on a coastal town, so we did a lot of fishing, a lot of hunting. My dad was into hunting, so and then when I moved down to the southern part of British Columbia, I got into bow hunting, right? And bow hunting's, that's a whole different animal than hunting. It takes a lot more. It's just different. It takes a lot. To me, it takes a lot more work, right? You got to get a lot closer with the bow, so you got to be physically fit. I find that helps. But I just love pushing myself. You know what I mean? It's like you said, when you're in that mindset of like you don't know if you're like the pain you just get used to, right? You get used to being sore, waking up every morning and stiff and sore, and it just becomes part of your life and you're okay with it, right? You accept it and you kind of like if I didn't have that, I'd be like, man, I didn't work hard enough yesterday. If I did, you know what I mean? Like I didn't if I woke up and I was just fresh, I'd be like, geez, I could have did better. I left a little in the tank. And like I was saying earlier, once you hit a certain age, you start to realize that you have less days than you've already lived. You definitely don't want to waste any of those days, man. You want to
No.
keep them going.
Yeah. So you're a big Cam Hanes guy? You're a big Cam fan?
I know I don't know Cam Hanes personally. I
I
don't.
watch all this stuff. I think he's,
Oh,
I
do
think
you?
he's
Yeah. To be honest, I don't watch a lot of it, but I don't really spend too much time watching. Like I don't watch a lot of TV. I don't really go on Instagram too much other than just to, quick, if I'm doing a post, I'll quickly hit it. But, I run a business. I got 3 kids, a wife. I got lots going on. So those
busy guy.
days, yeah, those minutes, those seconds, if I waste any of them, it
Yeah.
really doesn't leave me a lot of time to get stuff that I want to get done for myself. Right. And like, it, I found too, if I pushed too much, I wasn't getting the results that I am getting now in terms of like if I didn't get enough sleep, if I was only sleeping 5 hours, if my body wasn't recovering, I wasn't getting as good of a workout as I was if I was getting that rest the day before. So, it's important that I try to get really hard to get to bed before 9 o'clock. Doesn't always work that way, but if you're up at 4 o'clock, that at least leaves me, 6.5, 7 hours sleep. And that I find I can get a better workout done if I'm doing it that way.
Yeah. It's funny how like I'm sure you're the same. Like sleep can be hard sometimes.
Oh, so
You're
hard. And
like you're laying in bed and you're like, man, there's so much stuff I want to do.
oh,
Then you end up just getting 5 hours or something. It was across Canada, man. I think I was averaging probably maybe 5 or 6 hours of sleep. Definitely should have been having more, but yeah, no, it's I've always had a hard time sleeping. I don't know.
yeah, I've struggled with my whole life and I'm a light sleeper too, right? And I just, I wish we didn't need sleep. And I think there's a lot of times back in the day, like, man, like, especially when I was hard into work and I had lots on the go and we had three, really young kids at home. And I remember when I was getting like 2, 3 hours sleep a night, and just like consistently, like just going through the motions over and over. And that went on for years. And like, man, I don't know, like there's a lot of these, there's a lot of data out there now about sleep deprivation and stuff like that. But I mean, it is what it is, right? You want to be successful and you want to get stuff done, and in order to do that, and in order to like reach some goals that you set for yourself, there's definitely some things that are going to lack. For me, it was always just seemed I always didn't mind sacrificing sleep, but
You do a lot of caffeine.
um, oh, dude, yeah, a lot. Like I used to
Yeah.
really be hard, like all day coffee type of guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
The last little while, I've really been trying to cut my caffeine intake back and like a certain time of the day stop drinking coffee. So like right now I'll have like when I first wake up I'll have my cup of coffee. And then I'll let the dogs out, do my stuff, and then I'll either go for a run or hit the weights. And then after that I'll have like my post workout meal, and then I'll have like an iced coffee just cuz right now, we're 30-degree weather, and my wife got me hooked on these iced coffees. I'm actually drinking one right now, and I absolutely love them. And then that's it. I started doing that, and I found it's easier for me to fall asleep
Yeah.
at night. I mean, obviously there are still days when there's shit ringing through your head, but I've also learned to be like when I'm laying there in bed, being like, you know what, there's nothing I can do about that right now, so let's just like zone it out and deal with it in the morning, which seems to help because I've also learned that it's not the quantity of sleep, it's the quality of sleep. So, and I got one of those sleep things for my wrist that helps me manage my sleep, but I've really been working on it just, from directions of like my running coach and, my physiotherapist, my chiropractor. They're all like, man, you need to get more sleep. Like, just try sleep more. Just try it, for 6 months and then see what it does. And so far, it's helped for sure.
Yeah, I might have to try that. I know like caffeine's kind of like my one bad habit, I guess. Like I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't really
Mhm.
I don't really have anything other than caffeine. And I know especially across Canada, it was getting bad near the end. It was just like, oh, I don't know, probably like 1,000 milligrams a day or something. I'd be taking three pre-workouts. The hard thing is like what I realized when I was running across Canada is if you get one bad night's sleep or if you have like one bad day, you never really recover.
Oh, I
So
bet.
it's like I can
Yeah.
remember a few times getting like 3, 4 hours of sleep. There's just stuff's going on. We're trying to get to the hotel, really crappy weather, end up running super late. And you get like no sleep that night and you never actually recover. So
Mhm.
then you just end up doing more caffeine and like more pre-workout and stuff. So it's funny how like you gotta next time I do it, I'm gonna try to get a better like sleeping schedule and like finish
Mhm.
running and actually go to bed because there's just no time to recover.
Yeah, I think that would help too if you had, like you said, where you had like an RV or something that was more accessible. Because like an hour each way looking for a hotel,
Yeah.
that's a lot. That's 2 hours, and like if you could just, even if you utilized half of that time to get an extra hour of sleep, I mean, it starts to add up, right? For sure.
Oh, it would
So,
help.
what weight did you start the run out at?
I think I started at like 193,
What did you finish at?
176.
Wow, that's not too bad. I mean, that's
But the thing is, like, I'm relatively like I have pretty low body fat anyway. I'm
yeah.
pretty skinny anyway, so there wasn't really much to lose. I know near the end, like my eyes were all sunk in my head, and I was looking, I was looking pretty sick. I
Like a
remember
zombie, yeah.
there was one week where I just like had black eyes. It looked like I got punched in the face, and my camera guy is like, "What the?" So he's like editing it so it doesn't look so bad. But yeah, it just was like I think I was just exhausted, and yeah, it just looked like I got hit in the face.
Yeah, I noticed. I remember a couple times too. You were really like red, and you had some. Was
Yeah.
that windburn or sunburn?
Yeah, so that was all Newfoundland pretty much. And it was a mixture. Like some of it might have been sunburn, but more than anything, it just was like that cold, like it was like the whole time I was in Newfoundland, it was probably 50, 60 kilometer headwinds in my face, and it was
Mhm.
like cold. It was snowing some days. So it kind of cut on my cheekbones, and it just stayed like that for like, oh, I don't know, a month. And I'd have on Instagram, I'd have everyone wear sunscreen, put the sunscreen on. I'm like, I am, guys. Just is what it is. It's so windy, and then your
Yeah,
face is dry. So eventually, I that healed, and it didn't look terrible. But yeah, people were
yeah.
worried the first little bit.
I bet. Was there any times when you were running like where the dust or like what was it like running through Toronto? Like I've never been to Toronto, so I'm kind of like just stereotyping. Is it like just for like road traffic, but like not the road traffic, which I guess must be a scary shit thing too. You got these trucks, like you said, ripping down the highway and they're, coming at you or behind you. And I think coming from behind you must be worse than coming at you. At least you
Yeah.
can see them when they're coming at you.
Yeah. So like the whole time I was running, I had the shocks headphones. That way I could at least hear a car.
Mm-hmm.
If a car hit the rumble strips, I could try to get out of the way, I guess. But yeah, man, the 18 wheelers fly by. Like especially when you see on Coca-Cola, they were just
Oh,
ripping. I mean, sometimes it's like one lane. So like luckily there wasn't any like super close calls.
mm-hmm.
But for the air, like Toronto was fine. I didn't really notice too much. One thing that sucked was when you were out in the prairies, the trucks would go by, and I think they had maybe like cows or horses. I don't know what was in it, but it
Yeah.
just it smelled horrible. And it was I found out in the prairies, it was like every 2 minutes a car would go by, and then I'd be like, oh man,
Oh,
trying to breathe in my shirt or something. It just smelled like just cow shit, I guess. I don't know.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. And yeah, to turn that up. Yeah. Well, man, it's pretty amazing. It was fun to watch your journey across it, and I can't wait to see what the next one's where it's gonna take you. And I know just from knowing you for what I do and just knowing your work ethic that it's gonna work out and you're gonna be successful.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, and the next time we do it, I'm sure we're gonna raise even more money. I'm not sure what the cause will be next time, but I'm sure it'll be something. Like I'm pretty passionate about like kids in sports, so maybe it'll be something along that line, or maybe it'll be for heart disease again. But I'm sure it'll be big. And really, when I do this too, the one thing I want to tell people is like the next big run I do, I encourage anybody to come out and run with me. And that was one of the best parts of this was people just running with me
Yeah.
pretty much every day. Like there was someone with me. I
Mm-hmm.
know in Ontario, like from the time I got into Ontario till like 4 or 5 days out of Toronto, I had like a herd of people with me the whole time. So that was incredible. And it's cool, like to kind of let people know they're part of the team. Like if someone wants
Yeah.
to come a week with me, they can come do it. We might not have
Yeah.
room in the RV for them or the van, but like if they want to come out, I'm more than happy to have anybody come out. And really, I'm just kind of the guy running, but this is for everybody and everyone's a
Yeah.
part of this. And I just try to push positivity. I think there's so much negative stuff now that I just run. And even though I'm in pain, I'll be positive the whole time and try to just be a good role model to anybody, especially
Yeah.
kids. I love when
Yeah.
kids. So anybody
For
watch
sure.
next time I do something crazy, shoot me a
Yeah.
message and come on out.
For sure, man. Yeah. Well, you're gonna have to get a bigger RV, maybe one with a whole bunch of beds to carry all those
I
people
had
as
to
well.
joke. I think what I might do next time, potentially, I don't know if I have the money to do this or not, but I would love to have a bus like that it's like a shuttle bus. So when
Yeah.
I'm running, say every hour, like when we start in the morning, the bus could take people back to where they started. Because that was one of people's big problems was they'd leave
Can't
their
get
car,
back.
have to run, and they'd have to run back.
Yeah.
And I know there's a few times where like we felt bad, like we wish we could drive people back, but we were in a hurry and we're doing this. And by the end, the van didn't really want to leave me for too long. But I think it'd be pretty hilarious to have an actual like bus with me with a driver that just goes back and forth and takes people like with a schedule or something.
Yeah. That would be cool. Right on, man. Well, thanks for hopping on the show. Amazing job. It's been fun to chat with you. We'll keep in contact. Real quickly, where can people find and follow you?
On Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. If you just look up Ryan Keeping, it should come up. I also have a website, just ryankeeping.com if you want to look that up. And yeah, I guess Instagram's pretty much my biggest social media platform, that and YouTube. So yeah, if you want to find me there, you can do that and send me a message anytime. We'll try to get back to anybody. So yeah, you can find me there. And also I have a podcast, Flip the Switch podcast. That would be like linked in my bio of my Instagram and stuff. And we haven't done an episode for a while, but we're just going to start them up here again soon. So probably by the time this comes out, hopefully we'll have an episode out on Flip the Switch also. So yeah, we're going to try to probably do episodes weekly there. So yeah, just
Perfect.
look at Brian Keeping and you should be able to find me.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, and I'll put links up to all your stuff in the show notes here.
I got to come to a hunt with you. We need
yeah,
to.
man. Anytime you come out to BC and I can host you, so we'll get her done. Okay,
That'd-
buddy.
that'd-
Thanks a lot for the talk.
Awesome, dude.
Ciao.
Friends of NRA is your chance to support our Second Amendment rights and preserve America's hunting traditions. Join Friends of NRA at one of our 600 exciting events nationwide. From games to auctions and exclusive firearms, Friends of NRA events are your chance to support a cause you care about while having a great time with patriots in your community. Whether you're a seasoned shooter, an avid hunter or outdoorsman, or passionate about freedom, there's a place for you within Friends of NRA. Visit friendsofnra.org to find an event near you. Stand up for freedom with the Friends of NRA.
Gear up for the hunt and learn from the best with Deer and Deer Hunting Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern on Waypoint TV. Tune in every week for expert hunting tips and unforgettable moments in the field. Waypoint TV, your destination for outdoor entertainment.